Hello, everyone. Ti Dave here by the grace of God, and today I'm with Steve, and Steve has um been brave enough to come tell his story. He's been targeted since for 16 years. I'm going to read a devotion, then I'm going to start asking him his questions. Steve, thank you for coming out. And here's the devotion. I like to do something positive just to set the mindset on the interview. Contentment is a powerful state of mind. Contentment is the opposite of being anxious, but we should not confuse it with complacency. Gang stalkers continuously try to cheat us out of enjoying our existence. We are quickly and systematically barred from anything that seems to bring us pleasure. One targeted individual found joy in feeding the squirrels while she sat in the park. Once the group caught wind of this, they would drive by with loud engines to disrupt the serene environment. Contentment is a state of mind and is not based on where we are physically. Today, I will not be thankful for my circumstances, but rather that God is with me in them. And Steve, my first question for you would be like, what is your life like? What was your life like before you were targeted, and what's it like since you've been targeted?
Well, Dave, it was certainly before I was targeted, it was a lot better, but I think there's a couple things there. One of them is, I'm older. I mean, I was born in the 1960s, and I had a lot of good years back in, 70s, 80s, 90s, and um, one of the things was I took those things for granted. The good times that I had, the opportunities that I had, and things I wasn't all that grateful, and I didn't take it seriously, and then I missed things. But I missed, a lot of things I could have had. But and then also I think the world back then was. I mean, things have gotten so crazy now. It wasn't quite so crazy back in the 80s, 90s. Life wasn't so crazy, and all these rules and regulations, all this crazy stuff that we have now. So but yeah, I used to, I would go to the gym, I used to work out, I used to, I made good money, I had, a decent place to live, I had, all kinds of good stuff. And but now, it's gradually things are gradually, winding down. And I mean, I haven't had a car for 3 years. Um, I was in homeless for several months. I had a good job at a company, and a company that made mattresses, foam mattresses, and that went away. And so and now, I got to watch out for all this stuff. Like I've got to be careful because they break in here and do stuff to my food. And then I've got, watch out for people that follow me everywhere I go, and trying to burn my feet with directed energy weapons and all this stuff. So that's life after. But I'm a strong believer in Jesus Christ. And I'm not here to argue about, religious issues. If somebody believes something else, or they believe there's no God, or there's some other God, or whatever, that doesn't matter to me. I'm just saying what I believe, and that's better for me. I couldn't get through it without the Lord at my side every single day, and I got to pray every time I, eat something, get up. I've got to pray all the time because they're doing something almost all the time, something or other, all the time, 24 hours a day.
Right. Do
So
you find well, I went through that with the food before, and Holly did too. Have you ever just Holly even said one day she got to the point where she threw all the food away and just would go out and buy stuff as she ate. And that's a horrible way to live, but man,
it
I mean, if
is,
you
yeah.
can't got nobody to watch your house when you leave, that's one advice I give TI is that if you do get fortunate enough, which is rare, to live with another TI, make sure somebody's always there, and that's hard to do.
Yeah, it is. And even because like the house I actually live in, a house that's like a shared housing thing. There's like three other guys that live in this house, and they still manage to get in here and mess with stuff and different things. So, you know,
Do they move things around? Have you had stuff disappear and stuff?
yeah, they move stuff around. They took some it was a this special like kind of salt. It's supposed to be a real pure natural like to salt your food
Celtic?
and yeah, something I think it's called Real Salt or something. That's the brand. And I had a thing of that and they took that and so I'm going to have to keep that when I get some more. I'm going to have to keep it somewhere else where they can't get it. And then like they even went in the shared bathroom and they like moved the toilet paper around just to let me know that well they can get in there and blah blah blah. So yeah, they do all that stuff.
Right. Oh man. So do you think that some of the people living there are they pretty cool or
I think they're cool. I don't think any of them are. I think they're just regular people.
okay.
Now the place I lived before, uh, it was one of these. It's one of these outfits where you sign up online and then you get to pick a place where they have like roommates there and they have a room open. You move in and you're
Like
one
a
of the
halfway
roommates.
house?
Well, it's just like a shared like a rooming service thing like if you want to move in like they say hey we've got a bedroom available at this house over at so and so there's three other people that live there and so
Like
that's
a
what I
boarding
had
house.
before. Yeah, well I guess kind of it's just yeah it's just like a shared a house splitting the rent on living in a house just a bunch of people is what it
Right.
is.
Now
And
go ahead.
okay I was gonna say yeah, now here they're I don't think that I think they're just normal people, but the one I lived at before and I had to move, I lived at one of these this company that has these arranges these rooming things. They had somebody move in there that I know that was a perp and she's the one that when I was gone she sprayed the heavy metals in my room
Hmm.
and that's when I first had that happen, and I felt like I needed to. I prayed about that, and I moved out of there. Um, so yeah, there was, but here I don't think these people when I came here, I don't think so, but yeah, I don't know. So yeah, they got
Now
someone in the last one.
do you experience stalking, heavy stalking?
Yes, they well, there's different things that they do. They do have people that follow me to the store, follow me, because I don't have a car. Like I said, I haven't had a car for 3 years, so I take the bus and everywhere or whatever. And um, they'll always have someone on the bus somewhere, and they'll get on at some different stop, and they'll come on and they'll do different things. But usually, what they've been doing lately is they'll come and they'll sit usually not right next to me, but kind of fairly close, and they'll turn up the volume on their audio on their cell phone. They'll play music or something, and they always do that, right. And one of the things they started doing was, I got to be careful how I say this. They have a woman of we'll say a particular heritage. I'll use that word, a heritage. They tried to get it's one of those things so that every time like you had with the smiley face every time so you're like traumatized. Well they
Yeah.
try to do so every time I see a woman of this heritage that I'm like and they play it constantly like in on YouTube commercials they'll have I mean and it's the dumbest thing. They do that and then they're doing it. One of the reasons I know they do it so that if I record these people, I can't say anything. I can't put it on YouTube because then I would be called the R word. See,
Oh, okay. Oh, so
so
they
that
so they use your perps that way. If you say something, then you're they'll say you're racist, basically.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
that's
so
what.
they
Yeah,
use
that.
so they use perks of different heritages against you. That way, if you say anything,
Yeah,
you're racist.
yeah, exactly.
So
So,
it's
well,
plausible
in the big.
deniability. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So they could. That I knew that was what they were. I knew that was where they was going. That's what they did with the woman that sprayed the metal. She was one of these. Uh, and her name was like. I'm not going to say the name, but everyone knows the name of the famous French lady that lived a couple hundred years ago, Marie Blanc. Well, her name was like that second part of Marie's name, and I'm not going to say it, but they have a weird thing with names, so I don't know if that was her name, her real name or something that they had some kind of, because they have like a weird, with all their crazy numbers and numerology and names and weird stuff. So I don't know, but yeah.
Well, let's back up a little bit. Why do you think you were targeted? Could you tell everybody why?
Well,
I know why, but could you tell
yeah,
everybody?
yeah. Well, I'll tell you the main reason they're so interested in me is because I'm a Christian. I'm a believer in Christ, and the Bible tells us if you're a believer that you're going to have enemies. You're going to have the devil is going to draw people out, and they're going to hate you, and they're going to attack you in different ways. It says the Bible says uh, the wicked. It says they gnash at you with their teeth. So
And the
yeah, you're
enemies
going
will
to
be of his own household too.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. So
And
yeah,
what
I
about the
mean
Pat Robertson thing? In you writing
okay,
that when you wrote that
okay,
letter,
yeah,
I mean
yeah.
that could have been that's a legitimate, valid thing that could have got you targeted.
Yeah, I believe it started with that. That is what started the ball rolling.
Could you
Okay,
explain
so
what happened to the viewers?
yeah, okay, so this was in 2009, and at the time I was renting a room in a house with a family, some very nice folks that I rented a room, and there was a TV set in my room, and I didn't watch TV that much, and one day I turned on the TV for some reason, and I didn't normally watch, Pat Robertson's show, but he happened to be on there. And his, the CBN, whatever, they were doing a story about this. I guess at the time there had been a Homeland Security. There was some kind of document or something got leaked, and they were saying back then, I forget what they called it, but they were saying that, well, if you own a bang bang, if you pay for things with cash, if you are a veteran and all this different stuff, like well, you might be a right side, right, with an E, word with an E. I don't want
Yeah.
to say, I don't want to get you flagged. So after the little segment was over, Pat Robertson, he gets on there, and you know how he would get all fired up, and he goes, "Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is an outrage. Now, I want you to you write to this director of Homeland Security, and you tell her that she needs to apologize for this, and she needs to resign her post." And then they gave like the address and the phone number, and so I thought, well, I'll write a letter. I just thought, yeah, that makes me mad. I'm going to write a letter. So I wrote the letter and I mailed it. And not too long after that, I started to notice there was a big picture window in the front room of the house. And I look out there, and this sheriff's car would come by all the time, a lot of the time. And the deputy never got out of the car, but it would just stop, and they would look at the house like, and this was happening quite a bit, and I'm like, this isn't doesn't seem to be a reasonable explanation. And I thought, well, when I began to catch on to it, I realized this started about the time that after I sent that letter. And this went on for probably like 6 months or something. And that was the first thing that started that was my first encounter with these people, so to speak.
I think, yeah, and I think that's one that and the stuff you said about uh going down the rabbit hole searching conspiracies and stuff because
Yeah.
I read some kind of document a long time ago where They were flagging people to be targeted. They went down certain rabbit holes on the internet too deep and stuff. Just looking up the wrong thing can get you flagged on a watch list, you
Oh
know?
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I know I've looked at so much different stuff, and I know that makes them mad. Uh, and I mean, there's a whole bunch of different other things that, yeah. And, but what they did was they ramped this up on me until, now I'm dealing with all the, like the stuff I was talking about earlier, the home invasions and the directed energy weapons and all
Mm,
that stuff. So wasn't dealing with that. They gradually started this over time. So.
right. Well, looking back on your life and what it was like before targeting, uh, and seeing how you had moments of your life and you enjoyed, when you say that now, uh, uh, when you do have moments that are good days, well, some people say they don't have good days, but does it make it easier to, because what I found is all these experiences I went through were horrible, and they still are horrible, but I'm learning lessons from them too, from trial and error, what I did, how I reacted the wrong way in certain instances, and choices I made. And my dad always told me it's not a mistake as long as you learn your lesson from it and learn. Would you say,
Yeah.
uh, do you because I'm a big believer in gratitude and trying to find something to be grateful for to get through the day sometimes, would you say looking at because you said you took a lot of things for granted and all that, I would say that it makes it easier to be grateful for certain stuff when stuff goes good. Would you say that on certain days?
Oh yeah. I'm grateful for, I mean, yeah, that's one of the things is, I am so grateful to God for everything. I mean, every time I get through I get through their attacks and all the stuff they do, and the sleep deprivation and all this stuff, and God brings me through it, and I'm just so grateful that, he gets me through it, all this stuff. So.
Now, was you come from a big family? Did you have a lot of friends before you were targeted? Friends and
Um,
family?
I My family, I mean, other than my mom and dad, my brothers, we're not really that close because they don't really. But I don't think that that's something where the the
I'm saying,
the
did you go through an isolation phase where it seemed like they were telling anybody close to you or anybody that had anything to do with you stuff about you, and people kind of shied away from you all of a sudden? A period of that. Did you ever go through that?
not that I know of. My family, like I said, was kind of distant anyway. I don't think that
Oh,
was
okay.
that was before the targeting, so. I don't think that I know they do that to people. I know they do try to manipulate family and stuff and try to turn your family against you and different things. But no, I haven't had that.
What about friends? Have you had any friends just all of a sudden you're like, well, I don't know why they just stopped talking to me and start acting weird? Or are you the type that mostly stay to yourself?
Yeah, I've had some friends that I don't know if again I don't know if I haven't had that many, and most of the ones that I friends I've had have been like Christian people, church, or something believers. So
Real
they
believers
don't,
though, huh?
yeah, so real
Yeah.
believers. So, they're not so easily swayed to just walk off and say, I don't want anything to do with so and so because they're weird or whatever. So yeah, so they haven't really, I haven't really experienced that much, but
Have they ever sent a honeypot in to try to get close to you and manipulate things from behind the scenes or gaslight or even if it wasn't successful, have they ever sent somebody to try to befriend you and you could tell they had ulterior motives?
I don't think they've done that yet, but I'm on the lookout for it because I know that's a good possibility. They haven't done anything that I would say is a honeypot, tried to do that, but try to stay on the alert because I know that that's one of their tactics. So I try to watch out for anything like that.
Right. Um, So you say you experience direct energy weapon attacks. Could you explain like what you experience when they start hitting you?
Yeah. So, okay, like I said, obviously, this just started. I mean, like I said, they ramped it up slowly over time. This just started, I mean, earlier this year with that. And then that's because they had that woman put those spray heavy metals in my room over there. And then, so that was prepping me for this directed energy stuff, attacks. And
Right.
so yeah, and then later after that, I kept notice they started burning me, and it's mostly my feet. They want to burn my feet off because I work in a job like a physical job, like a warehouse, and I'm on my feet all the time, and they don't want me to work. I know they're definitely telling me that, so they're trying to burn my feet off mostly. Now they do heat up other parts of my body and stuff, and like on a hot day, they'll just try to make me even hotter. So when I'm outside or something,
Definitely. And what I'm
yeah,
finding and telling people is this is very important, and some people take it with a grain of salt. Okay, so these direct energy weapons, they not only burn you and cause pain and these neural weapons and all that, what they do is they cause vitamin deficiencies and thyroid problems. So even if you were to, all right, say you've been getting hit for years or months or whatever, and you find and some shielding comes out on the market that blocks weapons 100%. Even if you block the weapons 100%, you're still going to feel like crap if you don't take care of what vitamins you're deficient in or thyroid problem you're dealing with. And I'm finding this out. I went 3 years without taking my thyroid medicine, and I get hit very heavy, and then I found out I was in 2022. I was in the hospital 45 days, and they said I had the worst B12 deficiency ever, and they had ever seen, not ever, but the worst deficiency. And it can cause issues like feet issues, neuropathy, stuff like that. The weapons cause that too, but what the weapons do, they dehydrate you, they drain you of vitamins. So it's good to, and it's expensive now though. But if you don't want to go to a doctor, don't trust a hospital, you can do I think, if I'm not mistaken, what I looked up a couple weeks ago was a thing where you can send it in and test yourself to see what vitamins you're deficient in. Because if you get a bad vitamin deficiency, which weapons cause that, that's what they do. They make it where
yeah,
you. So a lot of people will be doing the right stuff. And I've seen many targets and talked to many targets who got their vitamin deficiencies worked out and their thyroid problems worked out or whatever, and they felt a lot better. They still got attacked, but it was a lot less because a vitamin D deficiency will make you feel like you got the flu. You'll be fatigued. A B12 deficiency will make your feet burn, tingle, uh, neuropathy. It'll make you feel it'll make you feel like vibration sensations and all that. So the weapons are not only hitting you and making you nausea, but they're drain. So I'm telling people that's the first thing I would get checked if you're getting hit with direct energy weapons is vitamin levels, and make sure your vitamins and minerals are okay in your body. Because if they're thrown off, then you'll even if you were successfully find something to shield, you're still going to feel like crap.
yeah,
It's very
yeah,
important.
because yeah. Yeah, I know those things. They pull vitamins. I do take vitamins, so I try to do that. But yeah, they do suck the vitamins out of your body. Yeah,
Right. And see, and me being agoraphobic, I do sublingual D3 because D vitamins. If you're not in the sun, you need D vitamins. Your body need, and if you
yeah,
got a vitamin D deficiency, you'll know it. So I just really think it's important for everybody watching this to try to figure out what vitamins you're deficiency in, and if you have thyroid problems, because when they're hitting you with these radiation weapons, your thyroid absorbs it. Holly had hers removed.
yeah,
I got severe thyroid problems, and I know I've talked to many targets over the years that have thyroid problems. And if your thyroid's out of
yeah,
whack, once again, you'll on top of being hit with weapons, you experience all kinds of crazy stuff. So, and these weapons are what I found. What I'm finding out, these weapons are causing deficiencies in vitamins and thyroid problems.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
even if they stop hitting you, you're still suffering because you've got all these stuff going on in your body it's causing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
See, and yeah, like another thing on that is, see, they like were showing, see, before the direct energy weapons, like they were showing me like ads on YouTube and stuff about like, well, if you have a thyroid problem, see, they tell you before what they plan to do to you. See, that's how they were putting it in these commercials on YouTube.
right. And if you look at my post, oh yeah, I posted a post yesterday. It's important about garlic, and where
Yeah,
I
I
got that
saw that.
information
Yeah,
from.
yeah,
That
yeah.
information came from a book that was published before the Rockefellers came in and created Big Pharma. Because see, when the Rockefellers created Big Pharma, they done away with all the herbal remedy books. So I mean, they didn't get them all because
Yeah,
obviously they're still out there. But your Mennonites, your Amish, your people way up and deep in the mountains still have them remedies and pass them down and stuff. So people think, well, and I got to be careful what I say, but I posted it because it's crazy. I can post it, but I can't read the post because it talks about the C word. But um, it was there was remedies they were using to heal everything that we think we need all this medicine for, way before uh, Big Pharma came out.
yeah,
It's just been lost
yeah,
and pat all lost. And if you in the right family and in the right place, then you know of these remedies.
yeah. Yeah, I've heard of that book, and yeah, I take garlic every day, so yeah, that does help.
Do you press it and wait 10 minutes?
Yeah, I try to when I have time, or I've had some capsules too.
Okay,
Garlic
powder
capsules. I don't
capsules.
know. Yeah, I don't know if those are as good as probably not as good as the fresh stuff, but I've had those too. So
Right. Well, in the post I put yesterday, it says if you're going to take if you take one capsule, capsules with the powder in it is the most effective, and it's equivalent to one pressing one clove. And the reason pressing it and waiting 10 minutes is vital is because when you press it, 10 minutes later the allicin comes out, which is important and
yeah,
does a lot of stuff in your
yeah,
body. But anyway,
yeah.
I'm rambling. So you get sprayed. They do a lot of gassing you and stuff, right?
Yeah, they've been doing that. They there's a few different things. One of the things they do, and they'll do this like they've done it like when I'm riding the bus, or I also at home. Sometimes maybe even in a public place where I am. It's something that it's like somebody spraying perfume in your mouth. That's what it tastes like. And then there was some other TI somewhere on a comments was talking about this, and I said, well, I get that too. She said they were doing this to her too, that she had that perfume taste. I don't know what that's all about. But like they've done that on the bus and at home. And then another thing they do, and they do this on the bus and stuff too, is it's something like they spray something that's like hairspray. It smells like hairspray is the best I can describe it. You can't see it, but you can smell it, and it smells like hairspray. And I don't know what it is, but I have that happen a lot. And then this morning, about 4 o'clock this morning, they had sprayed something in my room that I don't know what this was. It's some kind of chemical. It smells something like, best I can describe, you went into a like a high school or college chemistry lab room or something like that. It's something you might smell in there. It smelled kind of like something like that, like the smell of that lab. That's kind of the best I can describe it. I don't know what it was. I tried to air the room out and just, I don't know. But yeah, I do get chemicals, and like I said, the heavy metals, and then I even think they put heavy metals part of the time in some of my food before. So yeah,
Okay.
I
I'm trying. I'm going down a rabbit hole. Okay. I just was I just Googled poison that tastes like perfume, and you can Google it when you get off. There's several of them. Uh, but you'll never know what they're spraying. But
yeah.
I wanted to read this while we're on this subject. The thing I read before, I found this in the
Oh yeah.
Radiohead Protocol, Electric Angel. I don't know if y'all remember her, but she was around in about 2000. I can't remember the year, but she was. I haven't seen nothing. I tried to look her up and tried to find her, and couldn't find nothing about her since she wrote this book. But I'm going to be reading this book on YouTube probably. Let me know if y'all would like me to, because I definitely think it's got some important stuff. Because this talks about somebody we've never even heard of. Well, a lot of his name is Puharich, and he was the real inventor of V2K, according to her. And it goes into a lot of stuff. Anyway, I'm just wanting to read this while we're on the chemical thing. It says target individuals must secondly note with utmost concern that the microtechnology is implanted remotely. The method of implantation is called remote plasma enhanced chemical vapor deposition, a process of nanotechnology in which an invisible cloud, called an afterglow, of molecular matter is transported to the targeted individual on a carrier gas where the molecules settle on the nerves and self assemble into solid shapes in an implantation event. The solid implanted shapes are called polymers. These implanted polymers also go by another name in the laboratory called coupling coefficient. It should be thoroughly noted by TIs that the term coupling coefficient can be shortened for scientific purposes to the letter K. The K in V2K is thus, this is what this person said, the K in V2K is an implant forged remotely of nanotechnology type material on the dormal facial hearing system, including the seven nerve, thereby forming the formidable combination of V2K. Uh, so it says it's impossible to explore the meaning of the term V2K without discussing the matter from ethics viewpoint. Implanting nano in human beings without their consent is probably the greatest human rights violation known to man. And let me know in the comments if y'all want me to read this book chapter by chapter, like I did Soul Catcher and uh, How to Tame a Demon. Because if not, I'm probably going to anyway because it's got a lot of deep stuff. So you have no idea what they're. So when they spray this stuff, what kind of agitation do you get? Does it put you to sleep? Does it make you sneeze? Does it make you real sick?
Um, it seems to make me like my nervous system or something, like kind of like jittery like or something maybe.
Like speedy kind of?
Yeah, like you had too much coffee to drink or something maybe.
Right,
Something, I don't know. And then I think some of this might have been like, something to help get nanobots or something into your body or something. I
right.
mean, but I'm
Smart
just
dust.
guessing.
Yeah.
I don't know, exactly what it might be. I'm just, guessing at what it might,
Now, do
the
you do
purpose
stuff to
of it.
try to keep the metals out of your body?
Yeah, I do. Like I said, the problem,
Cilantro.
yeah, cilantro, the garlic and stuff, but I think they're coming in here. I think because I was getting better, and they came in one day and they got in my room and sprayed it or something, a couple times. So I don't know. I've just prayed to God. Maybe I can get something so where I can get away from that metal stuff because I hate it. But
Right.
yeah, I'm
Well,
doing my best to detox.
right. Yeah, and it's an everyday thing because they're just going to keep spraying, and not only that, it just going out in the air, it's probably sprayed on. If there's chemtrails going on, it's there too. Um,
Yeah.
and so it's an everyday thing. Like I do garlic when I wake up. Uh, I make everybody in the house garlic. And press it and make sure everybody does it. I think it's very important. And then I do the stun gun EMP. Then I got this pendant which has been helping. Then vitamins, stuff like that. But I still go through stuff, and I've never found nothing to help with V2K besides multitasking, which is leading me to my next question. Do you experience V2K? And I know you said you experienced a different kind of V2K. Could you kind of explain what you experienced and how it started for you?
Yeah, let me explain that the V2K is a long it's a long history. It actually, they first did V2K on me. I think it was around 2011 or 2012, and it was just every once in a little while. What they would do was like it was as I was waking up from sleep in the morning, and there would be this little like beep beep or something in my head. And at the time I just thought, well, I guess that's just a car, outside the, or something outside the apartment, on the street. And I thought at the time, I guess that's what it was. I would hear, just once in a while. It wasn't every day. And later I figured out, okay, that was, they were starting the V2K on me. But it didn't start, I didn't really start to experience it until 2016. And they really started to do, I hear like like these weird tones, like beep, 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 beep. I mean, like musical beep. I mean, like car, car horn honking, like someone running up steps, like slamming a door. Sometimes I would hear voices from it. And I know this made him mad. I called in 2017. I called into a program uh, that was this. Well, he's still around, and his son was living at the time. His son's dead now, but he was out of Pennsylvania, and it's mostly political stuff, but they dealt with a lot of conspiracy stuff. And I remember I called in and said, like 2017, I called in that show, and like I'm having this electronic harassment and all this. And so I know that made him mad. That only made things worse because I told that story, but I called in about it because I was very frustrated at the time. And then I would get it, like on and off. There would be times where I didn't have any V2K for a while, and then it would start. It would like cycle. And now lately I've been getting something more like, sounds like what you have, where at not every night, but some nights they like, it's like a background hum. It's like this constant buzz or something, noise. It's just a continual buzz while I'm trying to sleep, and I hear that. So
Do you get
uh,
ear popping, tinnitus? Do you have that too?
sometimes I haven't had a whole lot of that, but yeah, I get it occasionally. But
Like a
um,
ringing in your ears, popping
yeah,
pressure? Yeah.
yeah, occasionally. Yeah.
Do they ever
So
comment negative comments like, like they just told me, you might as well give up. Your channel's going down. We're going to make sure of it. See, they say stuff like that I've just, since 2015,
yeah.
I don't know. I guess I don't know. Like I do different stuff and figure out ways around it without having to use the silent. I've heard a lot of good things about the silent night device. But I don't have money like that, so I've worked like multitasking, handpan music. Uh, do you get do they ever say any negative affirmations to you?
Well, here's what they do, and this is what I've had this since probably 2017. I get these, and I've had a lot of these over, and I haven't had any lately, but I've gotten a lot of these, and it's like sleep interrogations or what they call dream interrogations, where they're trying to ask you questions in your sleep.
Uh-huh.
Um, and the funny thing was, I watched a video or something back in 2017. This lady was talking about claiming that she was being sleep interrogated because she had hurt her leg or something where she worked, and somebody was trying to ask her in her sleep, like, how did you hurt your leg, like what happened? And she was telling all about this. And so then after that, then they started doing it on me. And so and what they will typically do in these interrogations is one of the things they usually do is they'll say, please state your full name or something. And I start to do it because I think I'm in a doctor's, I'm somewhere where, and then I'm like, I suddenly wake up and like, get out of my head, you know. And another thing they've done, like they ask about, like one time why I parked in a particular spot where I parked, or this fellow that was a friend of mine that he's actually dead now, but they wanted to ask him something about him. And I just, every time they do that all the time, I just brush it off. They played advertisements in my head. They played advertisement for a bookstore. They played these other, it had like a visual thing where this little thing drop down and these little lights flash on the side, and it's like an advertisement for something. They've done the like you were talking about. You did a video where you're talking about the someday your cell phone's going to be this thing on your wrist, this tattoo or something.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, one of the things they've done is they're like experimenting with putting your cell phone, the cell phone being inside your head, which I'm not really sure why anyone would want your cell phone inside your head. I think that's crazy, but anyway, I know that's what they want to do. Well, they're saying like I've gotten different things. Like I woke up, they woke me up in the night. They showed this thing. It's like it had this big, the little text message bubble thing, the symbol, and they had that, and there was like beeping noise, and I'm like, this has something to do with this cell phone in your head. And then another night they had this thing like they were like, now here's how you adjust the volume on like the cell phone in your head, and I'm like, just like, as soon as I come to and realize what's going on, I'm like, get out of here. So, but yeah, I get that a lot. I've had that kind of thing a lot. The sleep interrogations, advertisements, testing me, sounds, all that V2K.
Wow. Um, man, you know what's interesting? You said the beep, beep, beep. Um, I was going down a rabbit hole one day about how when you were in school, and even I even experienced this at the plant, the chicken processing plant that I had the EEOC case against, where they do these hearing tests as kids and stuff, and they say there's more to
Yeah.
them tests, and there's reasons they do that, and
Oh,
it was,
really?
you know what I'm talking about, the test where you put it on your ear, and they'll tell me
Yeah,
when
and
you
the
hear one.
beep, beep,
Yeah,
yeah,
they
and you
say
hear
there's
it.
more to
Yeah,
that, and there was
exactly.
more. I can't remember what they were doing with it, but yeah, definitely. Uh, I think there's definitely something there with them tests, and I wish I could remember what they said about it, but it had something to do with mind control and how they were mapping something out or something with your
Oh.
hearing when they were doing that. Because a lot of people they would force you to do that in
Yeah, I had
school,
to.
and then
Yeah,
at the chicken plant they forced us to do it once a year. And they
yeah,
claimed it was to see how bad our ears was from the factory noise and stuff like that, but they say there's a deeper reason behind it. I just think it's interesting because you said sometimes you get the beep, 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 and that's what
yeah,
they make you hear when you're listening to them things. Especially if you were in the gate program or something like that, they would. That's one thing they would put you through. I remember after first grade, I'd have to go to these classes. Doing memory cards and speech classes and special classes that only a few of us had to go to. And I'm not sure if it was the GATE program or not or what it was, but it was something that my dad kept saying. Well, you're. He would just say it was some kind of special thing I had to go through. But the other people there with me were pretty smart kids, above average kids. So I always wondered why I had to go through it with them. And so I think, studying the GATE program and all that, maybe there's something behind one of the reasons we're watched and targeted. I can't clarify that for a fact, but I think that was interesting that you mentioned that. So how do you cope with all this stuff on a day-to-day basis? Like, you seem to, uh, I know. So you said you hold a job. That's awesome. Because a lot of TIs can't hold jobs, but a lot of TIs are able to hold jobs, and I know it's got to be rough as a TI holding a job. And I commend you for being able to do that. Your strength. Do you have any advice of what helps you get through the day? How you deal with your targeting?
yeah. Well, actually, I did have a job, and
Oh,
I
okay.
lost it recently, unfortunately.
Well, at least you're
So
trying.
I'm trying. I'm still. They're still fighting me all the time. They scramble the. They scramble the job. The help wanted ads or whatever on the internet. They fix it so that I seem to only see ads that are far too far away or
Mm,
something. Or not the right job. They set all this stuff up, and I don't care because I know that God is on my side, and he's the one that wants us to work. I mean, that's that's something that God is the one that commanded us, that we should work for a living and all that stuff that comes from him originally, and from the Bible. And so I know that, God's got answers on that. So, but yeah, I did, until recently. I had a good job. In fact, I had a very good job at I got a job at a plant that made foam mattresses. And I love working there. And I got, I was able to get overtime and I was making good money. And suddenly, I was a temp there. I got hired on full time. They offered to hire me on full time, and then suddenly one day they said, "We need to close this plant and move the operations to Mississippi."
Hmm.
And I can't help but think there was 106 people that worked there, and I can't help but think, surely that I had something to do with one of the reasons they closed it. I mean, because they cut, I mean, they even, I know that these people, they cut whole bus routes because of me. They've like discontinued whole routes just to stop me from going somewhere.
And
I
now
mean,
I
I
believe,
really
have you
think
ever
so.
been, I
Yeah.
hate when you're waiting on the bus, right? And the bus just keeps on going by you. Have you ever had that happen?
Yeah. I've
Yeah,
had
you're at
that
the bus
happen. Yeah.
stop and especially I used to hate when I was the only one at the bus stop because that's when it usually happens. The bus just keep going right past you. Have you ever
Yeah.
had that
Yeah.
happen?
Yeah. I've had it
Horrible.
happen, and I've seen it happen to other people sometimes too. So,
Yeah.
and I
It's
was on
horrible,
the
and
bus. Yeah.
especially trying no car, trying to ride, trying to find a job, and no car is horrible, and especially trying to ride
Yeah.
buses, especially these days, because buses is rough.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, and I lost this job. It was over a mistake I made on some inventory, and I didn't count it wrong, and I didn't mean to do it. And I was a temporary working at this little warehouse, and they let me go because it cost the company a bunch of money because some people got this item sent to them twice or something in the end. So, just one of those things, and but I know I got answers. God's got answers. So I'm
Well,
just, I keep on it every day. So
matter of fact, I'm gonna put your name on our prayer list that God puts a job in your path.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
No problem, and I like your positivity and stuff. Seems like you are resilient, and that'd be the word for it. No,
Yeah.
don't give up. But how do you deal with well, let me ask you this: at the job, were you still getting V2K? Was anybody gaslighting you at the job? Did you deal with any of that, or on the way to the job, or?
Um, no. They haven't. I haven't had that yet. Where there was nobody. That was only that place. There was only. It was only five. It was this little bitty warehouse, and there was five people total working there, and nobody was. I don't think anybody was a perp or anything I hired, but that's what I'm thinking about. The next place I go, they're gonna have someone there, which I don't care. I'll have to deal with that, but
Have they ever tried to mess with your emotions?
oh
Like
yeah,
you anger outburst, uncontrollable anger outburst, not uncontrollable,
yeah,
but have you noticed your emotions being messed with and then you're like, wow, I can't believe that? Or like sometimes
yeah,
like that anger, have they ever tried to well, I don't want to ask that question, but make you feel hopeless and stuff like that to where you had to pull yourself out of it and reverse what they were trying to make you feel sort of
yeah.
thing?
Yeah, there's times where I get to feeling down and discouraged, and I'm like, oh, these people are so horrible. I'm like, God, what do I have to deal with them? And then, and I'm all upset, and I'm like, oh, this is the worst situation ever. And then I realize, wait a minute, they want me to feel this way. They want me to be down in the dumps. They want me to be depressed. They want me to feel like I have no hope. And I'm like, why would I want to give them what they want? I don't. So
Right.
I think I'd rather give God what he wants and, be strong in what you have to go through and hang on and keep positive, that kind of thing.
And how do you
Um,
accomplish that? Do you pray, praise and worship? Is there any special thing you do when you're going through it to help you pull you
yeah,
out of it that may help somebody else
uh,
listening?
yeah, absolutely. What I have to do is I absolutely have to grab the Bible. Sometimes 3 or 4 times a day, I have to read it. I got to, pick something, and it might be a lot of times I read the Psalms about David dealing with his enemies and talking about they fight against me. He says all day long he oppresses me all day long, these enemies, and they talk about, and these enemies, they're real like snarky, and they say, well, there's no hope for him in God. Well, they couldn't be more wrong, because they know that your life, if you're a believer, your life is a testimony to the fact that there is a God, because he gets you through the schemes that they pull, and then they can't figure out why it didn't work, because God got you through it. So they got to know that there must be a God, and he must be real, and he must be with this person.
Right, right. Yeah, the Psalms are very powerful for any TI to read. And even if you're not a believer, the Psalms, any TI should be able to relate to the Psalms. Because even
Yeah,
sometimes even God, David even said, asked the Most High, he's like, you I forgot what he said, but my favorite ones, at one Psalm 109, David said a very very strong curse against his enemies. If you remember Psalm 109, that's the one
yeah,
where he cursed his
yeah,
enemies. And then he even said, God, I don't know why and he would start off in some of them Psalms like, God, I don't know why you're letting me go through this. You must be mad. I don't know what I've done. And then he'll start
yeah,
thanking him at the end. So yeah, that's a very good. I say that Psalms out loud are more powerful than people think. If said with all your heart, and they're more powerful than what you think. And I ran across I was researching something, and something came up. This was in 2015, and my handler had this thing on her computer, and it was spells. So I'm like, so I was looking close, and it was different kind of spells and stuff in a certain file on her computer, and I'm looking, and it was like voodoo stuff and all that. So I'm just reading it because I'm curious. I'm like, why is this on her computer? Because she was supposed to be a believer, and these spells, part of the spells was reading Psalms. So just imagine, because all the witchcraft spells and stuff perverts the good and uses it for evil. You see, so so
yeah,
that's why. So I'm like, wow. So that's where I started learning how powerful the Psalms was, because I got to thinking, well, if it's using its spells for negative, just imagine if you use it for what it was intended for and written for, calling out to God. So that made me have even more faith when I say the Psalms, because I'm like, well, they're using it in these spells. It's got more power when you use it for good, and they're very powerful, and they've proven themselves since 2015 for me. I
yeah.
just thought I'd bring that up. That was interesting that she had that. And when I asked her about it, she said, "Oh, I don't know how that got there," and you know how they. But I always thought
Oh,
that was interesting.
yeah. That's well, I mean, they're, yeah, it's
Do you?
but it showed who this person really was then, I guess, to you
Oh
then,
yeah,
right?
oh yeah, a snake.
Yeah. So there you go. You found out who they really were. Yeah. So
Do you, how did you figure out what a TI was? And like, yeah, how did you figure out what targeting was, and how'd you come to find out about all this stuff?
okay. Yeah, that's a good question. Back around, I want to say 20, maybe 2014, maybe 2015. Um, I ran across a video on the internet, something about, it was talking about how they had, they this guy was, I think it was somewhere in Ohio, and this guy was running for mayor or some political office, and they were trying to stop him, and so it was talking about how they had all these people like drive by and like honk and make noise all the time in front of his house,
Was
and
it
I
Jim
thought that
Jordan?
it might have been. Yeah, it might have been. I can't remember exactly. I just remember that story about it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was, I saw that. And then I began to do a little more digging on it myself. And I found some websites that talked about, targeted individuals and gang stalking. And I could tell that these websites, I already knew at the time that it was stuff that they put out themselves, because it had a little, had the little eyeball thing down in the corner and all that. And I knew it was them telling you what they do. It was one of those. And it showed like a diagram of how, like, well, they put an apartment building, like a cross section. Okay, like you're here in the middle, and then this apartment's got someone, and the one above it, and the one next to you, and one below you. And they show how they've got these, how they do all this. And then at some point, I found Tina Plackinger's channel, and I think they ran that by me. They wanted me to find that for some reason, I think, maybe.
Yeah, she just now did a new video.
I saw that too. Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw that. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I found Tina's channel, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what have they done to this poor woman? Because I hadn't really, what she was, I hadn't really got to this point yet at the time. I didn't know all this, all this stuff that I'm like, well, that's terrible what then these neighbors do to this poor lady. I'm like, it's awful. And yeah, I think they had that planned, and they were trying to give me little bits and pieces of stuff because they were going to do that to me later. So, but yeah, I found her channel. So yeah, I began to become aware of it, and so yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's what I read at the beginning of the interview. The beginning
yeah,
that yeah, she wrote Treading on Serpents. Uh
yeah,
uh
the trading on serpents. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. Um I've reached out to her to see if she'd be interested in doing an interview with me and haven't heard nothing yet, but she's going through it, so she's that's probably the last thing from her mind right now. Um and then some people even say that, I've even seen there's all kinds of stuff. Some people think that Tina isn't real, a real TI, all that. And everybody's got their own opinion. They're entitled to it. Uh, I've seen a video where somebody said that she wasn't a real TI, but I personally think, in my opinion, from watching her videos and stuff like that, I think she's real. And if y'all can't respect I would respect somebody if they didn't think she's real. People get, well, you think she's real, you're supporting a perp. Well, I just think she's real just by, seeing all her videos and stuff like that. I don't know what your opinion is. Um,
yeah, yeah.
Everybody's got something negative to say about a lot of people. Like somebody said that uh, Robert Duncan and the Robert Duncan thing, they're saying that he never worked with the CIA. Well, funny, I found the document where he was at an executive member. He was at intelligence. Matter of fact, I'm looking at the document right now. It's Intelligence Research and Development Council minutes of the 18th of May, 1988. Dr. Robert Duncan, Chairman, Director, Defense Research and Engineering. This is from the CIA website where you can go back in the thing. Well, I typed his name and I found a document that Dr. Duncan opened the meeting by stating that the DDCI had indicated that the DCI and he would like the council to focus more on tracking emerging technologies and be less concerned with budgetary issues. In addition, Duncan noted that the DDCI would like the council to take on responsibility for making the intelligence committee more aware of technologies which may be available and which may have applications within the intelligence community. He stated that the council can obtain insights into technology developments from areas outside of the intelligence. Anyway, so the whole document is, if this meeting was chaired by Duncan, and it's declassified document, and I've got it. So
Oh,
um, I, I guess that proves that stuff about Duncan not having any connections to the CIA wrong because it clearly says Dr. Robert Duncan, um, uh, Chairman, Director of Defense Research and Engineering. So,
Yeah,
I disagree with people that say, I think that Robert Duncan. I think what happened with Duncan, in my opinion, everybody's got their opinions. I think that I don't doubt that he might have been a misinformation agent because what they do is they get all these people they get these whistleblowers that'll come in and then they'll spread a little disinformation to send you down, but they'll spread a lot of good information too. So then,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
So that's just my opinion on it.
yeah, I think so too. That's kind of what yeah, I kind of thought the same thing on that one. Yeah, on
So when you
that.
found out, when you watched Tina's channel, what was your thoughts like? Wow, this is happening to me.
Well, no, because I wasn't going through all that yet. I was just having like I said, they ramped it up very slowly over a number of years. So I hadn't reached the point where where it is now, where I've got, there was nobody at that time coming into my house. There was no, I was not getting shot with directed energy weapons or chemical gas or any of that stuff at that point. I was getting some V2K, but I was very aware that they launched these very vicious attacks on people, and Tina was an example. And I didn't doubt it at all. I'm like, I know that what she's talking about is real. I know this. They're really after this woman for some reason, and they're harassing her all the time. So just she would tell her these stories, and she was always something like uh, had a problem with like trying to get local officials to do something, I think, and seems like, and yeah, um, but
Man, I had a really good question before I lost my train of thought. Hold on, I'll pull it back. Oh yeah. So what I'm saying is, I'm not saying Duncan didn't spread misinformation, uh, at all. And I think anybody who comes into the community and we have to be careful and really watch close and discern what's what, and that's hard to do sometimes. I realize that.
yeah,
I think, in my opinion, what happened to Duncan, I think he faked his death. I think the stuff. I think he was exposing some real information and maybe blending in some misinformation, but I think all of the TIs hitting him up because he started talking to TIs personally on through Messenger and all that, and then Targeted Justice wanted him to come to this thing on July 7th that was set up, and I just think that it became too overwhelming trying to answer everybody TI's that messages, and then people mad at him, and
yeah.
I think maybe he faked his death. I think it's possible, and maybe
Oh
he
yeah,
didn't. I don't
yeah,
know. But
yeah,
that leads me to this. If you email me, like Steve said, I believe in working. So, being that I can't work, I'm constantly doing projects around this house, cleaning house, cooking, doing all that, working on different stuff around the house to help out. So I'm busy a lot of the time. But I have accumulated so many TIs that I'm in touch with and that reach out and need help that sometimes I can't be there for everybody because there's so many that reach out to me.
yeah,
So, but I will get to you and I will answer your messages, and I try my best to do it. Because doing this for 3 years, you got you build up so many TIs that you're in touch with, and then you're so busy and you got like 20 TIs that need help, need to talk, and you're spread thin. So please do not take it personal. I will get back with you soon. Some people get personal and like, wow, you don't like, and that's not the case at all. It's just I've accumulated so many TIs I'm trying to help over the years, and it's just hard to be there and get stuff done at the same time. But I do try my best. I get back in touch. So I just needed to say that. But do you have? I know you said praise and worship, and prayer in the Bible helps you. Is there anything else you do, like when you're around the house, like sitting around the house, and they may be trying to mess with you? Is there anything else besides read the Bible you do?
um, yeah. Any kind of Christian, praise and worship music. Any kind of, God music. That really helps me get in tune with, get my keep my thoughts in tune. Because if I listen to if I listen to some kind of, you know, maybe some not a, not praise and
Secular.
worship. Yeah, secular song like before bed. That song will like kind of like play in my head. So what I mean, I don't mean by like V2K. I mean it just you hear that and then it kind of goes naturally into your mind. So I try to listen to before bed. I try to listen to something that's like praise and worship or something type of music so that, that will be on my mind when I'm starting to fall asleep instead of something secular because I need that because I know nighttime is when they come to attack. I mean, they
Yeah,
attack
sleep
me.
deprivation.
Yeah, sleep deprivation, the background hum thing. I mean, there's somebody outside the room. I can, somebody's outside there, sometime knocking on the wall or something. I don't know what the heck they're doing, but something. Yeah.
So do you like if you were to leave your house and go on a trip to the store or something, would you be followed today and stalked and all that? Do you still get all
Oh,
that?
yeah. Oh yes.
Can
Oh
you
yes.
remember any instances of them doing street theater or anything on you?
Yes. There's one in particular I just remember because you know these people they're really intelligent and clever, but some of the things they come up with are just plain stupid. I mean, it's just the dumbest thing, some of these schemes that they do. And I'm not saying they're not dangerous people. They are very dangerous, and some of these things they got are very dangerous and harmful. But I'm just saying some of their different schemes are just plain dumb. And one day they had I was at the transit center, the bus where you change buses, and they had. I was sitting there and waiting for my next, for the transfer, and they had this a woman of that particular heritage, as I was saying, that particular heritage, which I'm not. I'm just saying that's what they use. That's what they did. And they always would have them, they'd always have these people, their cell phones playing some kind of music or some kind of annoying thing on it, some kind of annoying audio. And so I'm sitting there and this woman comes up and she's got this little boombox contraption and she's playing that, and then she starts acting like really weird and she's like going woo, and she finally she even did that, and she got like right up in my face and did that, and I didn't want to give him a reaction. I'm like, I got up and moved somewhere else. And I mean, even other people could see, there were a few other people around and they could see this woman doing that, and all it did was make her look absolutely stupid. I mean, it just was the dumbest thing to have this woman act like she was a lunatic, to dance in my face and make weird noises. And I mean, all she got out of that in the end was she made a fool of herself out in public.
Right. And to
So,
clarify,
you know,
he's not racist. He's just saying they use
yeah,
that
I'm
way. If
not
he
at
says
all.
it, he's not racist at all. He's saying they use that way. If
They
he
use
says
that.
anything, the plausible deniability is there.
Right. And it's got nothing to do with that. As a believer in Christ, all people are created equal. That kind of that, racial, favoring one over another or whatever, that's not right at all. And I had a good buddy that was back in he got sick in 2015. He was in the hospital for 3 years, and I'd go visit him. His name was Denny, and we were best buddies. We were good friends, man. And you know he he had a terrible 3 years being sick. He couldn't get out of, he was in the hospital, couldn't get out of bed. Kept going downhill, and he finally passed away in 2018. But so, no, I'm not like that at all. And, you know, I don't want anyone to think that. I don't want to, I'm just saying they got this woman to make and she unfortunately agreed to do it for because they gave her, money or a gift card or whatever, I assume. So that's just what I'm saying. I
Right,
feel
right.
sorry for her because she's being used. She was being used, and they used her, and then when they're done using her, they just leave them. They just leave the person high and dry. They just leave them,
Yep. A
and
lot of
then
times
they
they become
suffer.
targets themselves.
Yeah, they do exactly. I've heard that. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah, what's funny, I shared this thing on Facebook the other day and I only got 3 likes on it. And it says, this is insane. See these two men there. And I would try to show you them, but I don't know if I can show it. It's funny when you got a background that, uh, anyway, it says, Marcus Harvey and Trey Jones from Marion, Indiana, they should be all over the news, but they're not. A few years ago, they saw a house fully engulfed in flames with people still inside when they were driving by. So they stopped the car, kicked in the front door, and risked their own lives to say the occupants aside. None of the occupants would still be alive if it wasn't for them. Neither one gave a second thought about anybody's color, just did what was right. These are the heroes the media won't show you. And I really feel like they're trying to push on, especially on TikTok, Civil War and all that. And I just think that
Yeah. Oh
it's
yeah. Yeah.
crazy
Exactly. It
propaganda
is.
they're trying to push.
Yeah.
But what's weird is every one of my posts gets a lot of likes sometimes, like at least 13 or 14, but that only got 3, and I just think that's very horrible. Um, and something that is it's just a horrible thing going on. Um, what message is it? Oh, I got 2 more questions. First of all, how has this affected your health?
Um, I had some health problems before. I've had prostate problems for about 5 years, and um, I've been able to take some pills that keep that under control because I get to where it's so bad I can't go to the bathroom. Sometimes I've had several episodes of that. I haven't had any lately, thank God, but and I've had like this real bad like acid reflux like
I hear a
condition.
lot of TIs to say that.
Yeah, I've had that for about, probably almost 8, 9, 10 years, I think. And
I mean, I know a
yeah,
lot of
well,
people have it, but I've heard a lot of TIs say, "Man, the acid reflux is horrible."
it is. Yeah, it's horrible. And yeah, I know that it's getting, and I'm getting old, and yeah, I try to do the best I can, but it's with this stuff, and they're giving me so many days where, I don't feel good and this and that and stuff. And I got to pull against that. And you know how that is,
Oh
you got
yeah.
to go even, when you feel really bad. And
Do you
yeah,
try to exercise at all? I know you said you used to be into
yeah,
bodybuilding
I
and
used
stuff.
to. Yeah, I do. I mean, um, where I'm living now, I don't do as much walking. Some places where I lived, I used to have to do a lot of walking, and that helped keep me in shape because I was doing a lot of walking. But I'm going to have to get back into that because right now, yeah, I'm not getting that much exercise, and I've got to get back on it. So,
Yes, it's
uh,
very important, and it also helps fight against these weapons because your body creates the endorphins and stuff like that. So exercise is a big part of making your body. I forgot the physics of it or whatever you want to say, the medical how it works or whatever, but it really helps your brain produce endorphins and stuff and helps your body fight against these neural attacks. And
yeah,
then my last question is, what message would you like to say to my viewers today as far as targeting, or any tips you'd like to add or give them as how you deal with your targeting, or any message at all you'd like to give to my viewers or anybody who might not be targeted, might be targeted, anybody that watching this today?
yeah, sure. The most important thing to me is my faith in God, in Jesus Christ. And I understand people may call him by a different name, Yahuwah, Yeshua, or something. That doesn't matter. I'm just the Son of the Most High God, and He also is the Most High God. personally, I'm like you. I believe other people can believe whatever they want. If they believe there's no God or some other entity or something is God, that's fine. But for me, the God of the Bible is the one true God, and the Bible says this is the true God and eternal life. And so I couldn't make it through this stuff that they do to me without God watching over me. I wouldn't even attempt to make it through a single day. I couldn't function. I mean, I don't know. I couldn't get through it without being to pray to him and saying, God, help me. What do I do? Look at what they've done to me now. And I don't know what this gas is they sprayed. I don't know what it is. What will it do to me? I have no idea, but I'm putting my trust in you right now because I don't know what to do.
Right. Oh,
And also,
yeah,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
And if you're a believer, if you put your trust in Christ and you give your life to Him, then this world is the only time in all of eternity that they can get to you. This is the only time that Satan and these synagogue of Satan, whatever you want to call them, can get to you, because you've got all of eternity with the Lord forever and ever. And most of these people, unfortunately, by their own choosing, are going to be eternally damned. And they're not going to see the kingdom of God. They're going to be plunged into outer darkness and a lake of fire. So, that's just the big picture of it, is what God says. But I have to trust him every day. I have to get through this and to pray. And I pray for my enemies. I pray for them to see the light and be saved. I pray for them to put their faith in Christ. Pray for them, because the devil's got them, and he's wanting to destroy them, and that's what he's going to do to them in the end. And that's what most of them, they'll end up with him burning forever.
Right. Well, I really thank you for coming out. And I got one thing. Anybody watching this, man, like that's one thing I've been researching for years and really can't find out anything. But I know somebody watching this might have some good links or information to share about chemicals and what they're using, how they're using it. If anybody has any knowledge on what they're using, how they're doing it, please put it in the comments, because I've been researching trying to come up with information about that. Or another thing I come up dead on is uh, drones and how they're using drones to attack people and stuff. Any documents or any information on that, I would be truly, because I've dug deep on the drone technology and stuff, and just come up empty-handed on chemicals and drones. So if you anybody has any clue of what kind of gas they're using or has any links or any information on that, it'd be truly appreciated. And Steve, I'm glad you come out today. Really appreciate it. And I'm hoping that your testimony somebody can relate to. Something you said will help somebody. Um, and I know it helps to just to have your voice heard and know that people know this is going on with you. Um, is there anything else you'd like to add before we stop recording?
I know they're going to attack me in some way for doing this interview, but I believe it was worth it. And I believe God wanted me to come talk to you today. And I was tempted to just, not, book the interview or something. And I'm like, no, I want to do this. I feel like it's the right thing. I don't care. It's worth it. So yeah, it's worth it to get your story out there. It's worth it to speak out. It doesn't matter what they, you know, because they're not going to win in the end. They're not going to win. Because, you know, God's on my side. I'm going to win. So I'm glad that I had the chance and you were willing to have me on the program today, and I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. And one more thing before we go, and we do pray over this list. And that if you're a TI and you're a believer, please find at least one TI, if not all TIs. But try to say, try to pray for specific TIs or find somebody to pray for, because Ezekiel 22:30 is a good example. God said, I looked for one person to stand in the gap for this nation and could not find one, so I destroyed it. So that tells me standing in the gap means speaking on behalf, praying for. So it's important to have people standing in the gap for us, you know? So it's important to have people praying for us, standing in the gap, because God said, I looked for one person to stand in the gap for this nation. I couldn't find one person, and I destroyed it. I've always thought, since I read that verse in 2014 is when I found that verse. Um, I, I really think it's important that we cover each other in prayer. And
Absolutely.
And that's all I got. I'm going to stop recording and we can say our goodbyes. And thanks again.